There was a time when peace reigned among the gods, when even Thor set down his hammer and Odin's ravens flew home to rest. It was the season of plenty, and the sea giant Ægir, brewer of the finest mead in all the 9 realms, invited the gods to a feast in his shimmering hall beneath the waves. Ægir's home was carved of coral and black stone, its walls glowing with runes that shimmered like the northern lights. Golden fire burned in crystal lamps, and the sound of the sea echoed like music through its halls. The gods gathered in joy: Odin the All-Father, wise and grim; Thor, mighty and loud; Frey and Freyja, shining with beauty; and Bragi, the god of poetry, whose words could turn storms to silence. Even the waves seemed to laugh that night. Mead overflowed. Laughter rolled like thunder, and Ægir's servants, Fimafeng and Eldir, hurried between the tables, graceful and swift, their service so perfect that the gods themselves raised their cups in praise. But at the edge of the light, in the doorway of the hall, one figure stood apart, watching. It was Loki, the trickster, the father of monsters, the brother of Odin, the flame of chaos in human form. He watched as the gods laughed together, and something dark stirred in him. They had not called his name. They had not toasted his wit, nor thanked his cunning. He who had saved Asgard 100 times, he who had outwitted giants, who had stolen treasures and forged destinies, was left in silence. His smile faded, his heart turned bitter. As the gods praised Ægir's servant Fimafeng, Loki's envy turned to wrath. He rose from the shadows, drew a small blade from his belt, and before anyone could cry out, Fimafeng fell, lifeless upon the golden floor. The laughter died. The music stopped. Thor leapt to his feet, fury in his eyes. "Get him out!" he roared. "Let no snake crawl in this hall while we feast." And so Loki was cast out into the cold night, driven from the warmth of the sea giant's fire. Outside, beneath the waves and moonlight, Loki's anger grew. The sea whispered around him, but it brought no peace. There he met Eldir, the surviving servant. Eldir spoke carefully. "The gods speak of their victory," and he said. "They boast of their strength, and none speak your name." Loki's smile returned, cold and sharp. "Then I will give them reason to remember it." And with that, he turned back toward Ægir's hall, not to beg forgiveness, but to spread poison with words more deadly than any blade. The great doors opened again, and the gods froze as Loki stepped back into the golden hall. "Have you forgotten me so soon?" he said. "I have come a long way, and I thirst for mead." Bragi, the poet, rose first. "We know your mischief, Loki. You are not welcome here." But Odin, bound by the sacred law of hospitality, lifted his hand. "No one shall be denied a seat in this hall. Let him drink, though his tongue may bring trouble." So Loki was seated beside the gods once more. A cup of mead was placed before him. He lifted it high and said, "I drink to the Æsir, but not to one." The gods exchanged uneasy glances. Then slowly, Loki began to speak. He turned first to Bragi. "Bragi," he said, "you boast of courage, yet hide behind words." A poet's heart in a coward's hands, Bragi clenched his fists. But Idun, his wife, caught his arm. "Peace," she said softly. But Loki only laughed. He turned to Freyja. "Radiant Freyja, goddess of beauty." "Golden goddess," he said, "your beauty is famed, but your honor is not. How many gods and men have shared your bed?" Gasps filled the hall. Freyja's eyes blazed like fire. "Loki," she shouted, "your tongue drips venom worse than any serpent." Yet he only smiled. "Truth, my lady, burns worse than lies." Then his eyes found Odin. The hall fell silent. "Odin," Loki said, his voice low, "you call yourself wise, but who traded his honor with giants? Who broke oaths for power and sent warriors to die for sport?" Even the fires seemed to dim. Thor's hand gripped the handle of Mjolnir, but Odin said nothing. Loki turned again, his words now arrows. He mocked Frigg for her secrets, Frey for his greed, and Sif for her golden hair that he himself once cut. He laughed, loud and cruel, and his laughter echoed like a storm across the waves. At last, Thor rose from his seat. His red cloak flared, his hammer glowed in his hand. "Enough," he thundered. "One more insult, trickster, and I'll drive your skull through the wall." But Loki did not flinch. He leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Ah, Thor, always so quick to threaten and so slow to think. You strike at words, but words are stronger than your hammer." The gods rose. The hall trembled. Then suddenly Loki's smile faded. He looked at them all, Odin, Thor, Freyja, Bragi, and he said quietly, "Enjoy your peace while it lasts. For one day the feast will end, and I will be the cause." With that, he turned and walked out into the storm, leaving the hall in silence. For a long time no one spoke. The fire crackled, the mead cooled, and the gods sat still, their joy broken. Odin finally rose, his voice quiet. His words were venom, but some venom holds truth. Thor slammed his hammer against the table. "Then next time I'll silence that truth." But Freyja only looked toward the door. "Beware," she said softly, "for Loki's words are seeds, and seeds grow." And indeed they would, for that night's mischief would not be forgotten. It was the first whisper of rebellion, the first shadow of Ragnarök. Even among gods, pride can poison peace. Laughter can turn to anger, and friendship to fire. Loki's mischief reminds us that chaos never enters loudly. It begins with a whisper, a wound to the heart, and a word spoken at the wrong time. For the trickster is not just a villain, he is the reminder that no hall, no bond, no golden feast lasts forever. And so Loki left the hall of the gods, his laughter fading into thunder, and his promise echoing into fate. If you enjoyed this tale of the trickster's feast, like, subscribe, and return to Mythoria, where the gods still whisper through the wind and the old stories rise again from the deep.